You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, Patreon members, and welcome to the Cantina Cast. This is From a Certain Point of View. This is a Patreon exclusive where on this episode, we're going to be talking about our top 3 moments of The Force Awakens. And before we came out of the show, we were just talking about how this may feel a little sacrilegious once again because we're forcing people to pick their top 3. But in celebration of The Force Awakens, there were so many great moments. It felt like we needed to come back and do one of these shows and certainly kind of narrow this very long and exhaustive list of moments that happened in that movie down to just our top 3. But before we get started and before I bring on the guests, I want to make sure that we say hello and thank you to all of our Patreon members. But tonight, I especially want to call out our now part of the tribe members. That's Alex, Danny, Dante, Daz. I've got a Brad feeling, Jackson, Jacob, Josh, Mike, Paisley, Rita Reborn, Risk, Sharkman Dan, and Uncle Leon. And our Delusions of Grandeur members, which is now This is Rod Racing, Rob, and Steve. And Steve is actually one of the people that's with us, so I'll bring him on in just a second. And I want to say also thank you to all of the YouTube members. If you didn't know, we've got now a YouTube membership set up inside the YouTube channel. So you can join there for, I think it's $1, and you get some cool avatars and icons, that sort of thing. But Luminera, Katya, Kathy, my Star Wars guys, Nikki, and Alex are all members of that. So thank you guys for joining and being part of that group as well. I'm going to do all of the plugs for what's coming up here at the very end, because I do want to start bringing on our guests and start talking about The Force Awakens, because again, this is the 10th anniversary, which is absolutely crazy to believe and think about, the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. And so joining me first off is Steve. And Steve, hey, welcome to the show. Welcome back, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, Albert. Doing great.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I know you said you had like 17 moments within the first like 15 minutes of the movie, so we'll see how long your list is when we get to honorable mentions. But before we get started, before we bring in everybody else in, I wanted to ask all of you guys a simple question. And what was that experience like for you going in to see the movie The Force Awakens for the first night, first time, having been, without any Star Wars in the theaters for almost 10 years at that point? What was that experience like for you, and what were some of the more memorable moments for you?
It was really thrilling because this is really what I was hoping for when the prequels came out, a continuation of the story that I already knew.
Yeah,
I didn't realize we were going to go so far back. So I was thrilled, and I really stayed, except for knowing who's going to be in the movie. I stayed away from any spoilers or doing any deep dives. So when I went into the movie, I was really surprised by a lot of things that happened. One of them is going to be the first moment I share in a little bit, and the other one is the way the movie ended. Was a really a nice surprise for me, and probably in not the way you think. Okay. But I remember I saw it opening night, and then the next day I was living in Georgia at the time, and the next day I drove up to South Carolina to watch it with my best friend. The next day to see it twice, and it was great. I think I saw it 3 times in the theater, and every time I saw it, it seemed to be getting better and better. I do feel like I watched this movie here and there. What I've learned by watching it all the way through this morning, it's a great movie all the way through.
Yeah.
And I think it's best watched like that instead of just kind of seeing pieces here and there.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. Yeah. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to the 10 years later episode I did, but I've had some people comment that I was glowing and gushing over that movie. And I mean, it is what it is. I really enjoyed it. And we'll get into all that here, I'm sure, but it is a great movie.
We also have a Build-A-Bear from that movie. I know you mentioned that in the podcast too. We went and did a Build-A-Bear as well.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't escape the merchandising that was happening with The Force Awakens. So it was just about everywhere. All right, Steve, thanks so much for being here. And coming all the way from Wales is Daz. Daz, welcome. I know it's early in the morning there and you're not feeling well. So, man, thank you so much for making the time and having the stamina to be here with us on this. But how are you doing, sir?
My pleasure. I'm doing very good. Thank you, Albert. Lovely to see everybody.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this.
All right. So what was it like for you out there? Were you living in Wales at the time? Where did you see The Force Awakens? And what was it like that opening night?
Yeah, I was just living just across the border, but just over in England. But the Force Awakens is my favorite movie, so that sort of gives it away what my feelings are about this. A lot of that is to do with like what it did for me outside of the movie itself. I'd say I was like a strong casual fan going into Force Awakens, whereas like I got completely swept away in all of the hysteria around this film, and I'd never look back afterwards. And my favorite character is Rey, so yeah, I have a lot of good feelings about this film.
Yeah, I ended that 10 years later show by mentioning, actually, I I was unconscious when I was speaking, but I think I mentioned that this movie did awaken the force for a lot of people, right? A lot of people were brought in. A lot of people had their love for Star Wars either rekindled or inflamed, maybe a better word for what you went through, but it definitely had an impact on a lot of folks. And so, yeah, it makes sense. And glad you did that, because now you're here and you're a part of the community and on other shows as well. So yeah, it's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. So we've got Steve, we've got Daz. Let me bring on a new member. So this is one of our Patreon members. This is Anthony. Anthony, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here, buddy. How are you doing?
Hello. Glory to the Empire.
Glory to the Empire. And you're wearing your uniform as well. So this is a very formal moment for you. But hey, Anthony, what was it like for you seeing The Force Awakens after that 10-year drought? Anything that stood out for you? And did you see it opening night, and who did you see it with, maybe?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm going to come at this as short as I can in details, because I'm rather long-winded. Who I saw it with, this was a special thing for me, because I got this was the first time for me that I got to see a Star Wars with family.
Yeah.
My two of my three daughters, my middle girl and my youngest girl, were in their mid-teens, and they were nerds, Star Wars nerds in each of their own ways.
Yeah.
We went, I want to say it was the next week, because I couldn't get to see them on the opening weekend. So we went together. The other way I'm going to come at this is I was spoiled by this film because I was schooled by making Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
I found Jason when he started his podcast.
Yeah, right around that time.
In the couple years, when she was 2013. And I followed everything that he had to share. And some of that I shared with the girls, but when we went, it was 2 years in between listening to all the stuff.
Yeah.
So seeing it in the theater and not thinking about anything that I had heard. Yeah. That was very special for me.
Yeah.
So,
do you feel like it spoiled anything for you? Because sometimes we get wind of spoilers. A lot of times it's not because we really want to. People give them to us or we see them, but it's never taken anything away from me. Like I still go in, even if I know what's going to happen, I still go in with all kinds of excitement and emotions, and it doesn't ruin anything for me, but I know it does for others. But how do anything for you?
No, when we sat down in the theater, the last thing that was on my mind was all those things I'd heard in the couple of years before, listening to, and I do actively follow and find spoilers, even now for what's coming out.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the last thing. I sit down in that seat and I get locked in. Tell me a Star Wars story. That's all I've ever wanted since I was 9 years old watching Star Wars or A New Hope now.
That's awesome. Well, glad you got to see it with the family members. And are they still Star Wars fans? Are they bigger Star Wars fans as a result of the movie?
No, they've kind of each gone their own way. I sat down to watch some of the Mandalorian and some of the other series.
Yeah.
A little but yeah, it's kind of let go of them a little bit. They've got so many other interests in.
Yeah. That makes sense. Makes sense. Well, at least you had that moment with them, and maybe they'll come back around. You never know. So, well, thanks. Thank you so much again for Anthony for being here. And I'm going to bring on the last member of our panel tonight. And this is someone who you may have heard already on the show, because I did an episode where we went to, what was it? May the 4th be with y'all, which is an annual celebration of Star Wars here in Austin. And Chris, who's with us tonight, was actually one of the people that I interviewed on that episode. He is kind of the front runner. I was going to say president. I don't know, El Presidente of FanForce Austin, if you will. But joining us, I guess, for the second time is Chris. Chris, thank you so much for making the time to be here, and especially last minute. I really appreciate that.
Oh, no problem, Albert. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, okay, you tell me. So I know so Chris is actually, so if you listen to the Force Awakens 10 years later episode that I just did, I mentioned that there were some folks that I knew that went to the Alamo Draft House teaser trailer that they released in the morning. They gave out breakfast tacos. Well, Chris was actually one of those guys. And so, so I've already shared that story, but what was it like for you going in and seeing that again, after 10 years here in Austin with the big group and following the Star Wars that we have? What was that experience like for you?
It was an amazing experience, only because after the end of Revenge of the Sith, I had to accept the fact, like other Star Wars fans, that that was going to be the last movie in the Skywalker saga. Because at that
Exactly.
time, George Lucas said that's what it was. It was going to, episode 3 was it. You know, it was a 6-episode arc, even though a lot of us remember what he said back in the 80s about it being a 9-film saga. But he said at that time that was going to be it. So I was resigned to the fact in 2005 that we were never going to see Star Wars, you know, anything that has to do with the Skywalker saga on the big screen again. To see, you know, the Star Wars logo, you know, flash through the screen with the stars and the resounding fanfare of the Star Wars theme, and then seeing episode 7, it was emotional for me because again, I never expected to see that. So it was just an emotional moment for me. I was with my crew at FanForce Austin, probably about 20 of us went to go see the first showing of The Force Awakens here. And it was fun. It was emotional. And it's something that I remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, I think I mentioned this on that episode as well, as I didn't think we'd ever see it again, quite honestly. And yet there it was happening in real time. And not only did we get that and all the other movies that followed, and I think that's why I said, love or hate them, Disney was probably the best thing to come around because they just gave us more Star Wars. It gave us more lore, more stories to tell. And for that, I'm very thankful that Lucas made the purchase or the sell, because that's what he wanted, right? He knew that this was bigger than him and he was giving this off to someone else to continue those stories. So definitely was a special moment I think for all of us here. So, well, thank you again, Chris, for being here. And we're going to kick things off. So if you're new to this format, what we do is we start with our third favorite moment. We get on to our second, we do our honorable mentions, and then we get down to our number 1 episode. So let's see. So I'm going to start with Steve. Steve, why don't you kick us off with your number
Hey, everyone.
3 moment?
You've been listening to a preview of this Patreon exclusive episode. If you'd like to hear the full episode, as well as a huge back catalog of other Patreon exclusive material, head on over to patreon.com/CantinaCast and sign up for the We Are All the Republic tier at just $2 a month. That'll get you all of the audio episodes, or if video is your thing, please consider the This Is the Way tier at just $5 a month. There's also 2 higher tiers in Now Part of the Tribe and Delusions of Grandeur, which gets you a shout out at the start of every show, your name in the credits at the end, and more. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon members and all of our supporters, and may the Force be with you always.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.